Hello, and thank you for lending your ears to Ratehub.ca's Real Money Talk podcast. In this show, we give you the real talk on all things money. We eliminate the fine print, we junk the jargon, and we explain how you can make smarter financial decisions. We're not millionaires, we're thousandaires, and we know you are too, so this show is for you. We want to talk about money because it affects everyone, rich and poor. Money shouldn't only be the occupation of the 1%, but rather the 99%. Money isn't everything, but it is everywhere. We want to educate about money through story. We Canadians ignore money, hoping if we do, like many other problems, it'll go away. Our goal is to make money an everyday discussion. This podcast is brought to you by EQ Bank and the EQ Bank Savings Plus account. Want the flexibility of an everyday checking account with a 2.45% interest rate? You got it. You'll also get free Interac e-transfers, free bill payments, no minimum balance, and no monthly fees. For easy banking that earns without any everyday banking fees, switch to EQ Bank today. Hey, thank you for tuning in. My name is Tyler, and I'll be your guide for Season 2 of the show. We want to look at everyday life, topics that affect us all, but through the lens of money. We're starting with work. Not just any work that is idolized, romanticized, or even despised. We talk to people that chase their passions and ask, was it worth it? We debunk myths and ask for the answers you've always wanted to know. If you want to get in touch, find Ratehub on your favorite social media channels or email us, realmoneytalk@ratehub.ca. If you like the show, do me a favor, share it with your friends, give us a follow, leave a comment, and follow us on the journey to choosing better. Today on the show, my colleague Tim Bennett and I speak with Justin of Black Cat Espresso Bar, our own little coffee talk about coffee. We ask about the history of coffee, how to make money running a coffee shop, and should we tip our barista? At the end, we also have a new segment from Decimal, a quick money tip to help you out. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome to Real Money Talk. I'm with Tim Bennett, a content strategist at Ratehub, and Justin, owner of Black Cat Espresso Bar, and I'm Tyler. We always kick things off with a money mistake or a money makeup if you did something and you're like, hey, bonus. So I'll kick it off. My money mistake, I was in a coffee shop recently and I had totally forgot my wallet, and they have Apple Pay, but it wasn't working. But I know them well enough, and they're like, don't worry about it, just settle up with us later. Well, I actually didn't make my way back until another 2 weeks later, and I'm like, hey, I owe you that money. Like, don't let
Plus interest.
Yeah. Well, so what happened was, it was a $14 charge that I owed, and then my mom and my kids were there with me, and that's usually like another $25 charge kind of thing with, the chocolate croissants and things like that. And then she's like, okay, your bill is, $55. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I'm walking home like, wait a minute, I think she just charged me $14 twice.
Oh, yeah.
But I basically just paid the interest is what I chalked it up to, but I didn't debate the charges.
Interest rates are low, man.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty high.
Yeah. Tim, you got one?
Off the top of my head, it's certainly not, as good a story as yours. I think the most recent money mistake I made was paying for an Airbnb when I first moved to Toronto for too long. So we had all these horror stories from a friend of mine who moved from Australia to Toronto. And he said, yeah, finding a place to live is just going to be the worst. It's going to be the worst experience you've ever gone through. It took me 6 months and I almost, got clinically depressed about it. And so me and my partner thought, well, we'll get an Airbnb for a month. We know that it'll be fine. We found a place in a week, and so we ended up paying for this Airbnb, which is twice the price of what our apartment would have been. And we didn't have to pay double rent or anything, but I would have been $600-700 a waste of money,
Right.
So
yeah.
I paid for the convenience of knowing that things would be fine, but I probably could have backed myself a bit more.
Yeah, fair enough. Justin?
All right, mine's, I guess, not as exciting. The only thing that comes to mind recently was I went and bought the nicest can of primer and sealer that I could find because we had a little kind of fire that put some black stains all over the white ceiling. So it turned out to be a double buy. I thought, I don't remember getting one of these, but, being a little scatterbrained, trying to do so many things that I do, I think it was like $65 for this can of primer. And when I got back to my shop, went down to the basement, plunked it down, and what did I plunk it down next to? I thought, damn, when did I buy that? I got a second one. So now the debate is, do I spend the time to go return it or just keep it for the next time?
Keep it for the next time.
I need it.
A fire breaks out.
At which point you'll find it when you put another $65 can of primer next to it.
Exactly. That's what I'm worried about. 3 cans lined up.
We have 6 boxes of baking soda in our fridge
Yeah.
because they're all at the back of the fridge. And you think,
Yeah.
I need baking soda. I don't remember where the baking soda is because it's at the back of the fridge.
It must smell very fresh in your fridge.
Well, today we're talking to Justin about coffee shops, baristas, and all of that. There's a lot of romanticism around coffee shops, and I think a lot of people want to strive to open their own coffee shop and think that I'll do great. And so we're here to sort of talk that through and see if it's a reality and, well, what the realities are of coffee, and especially in a coffee-crazed city like Toronto, let's say. So tell us running a coffee shop, tell us what does your day look like on an average day-to-day?
Yeah, my day might not be average of someone who owns a little indie shop, because I've found many different ways of making little bits of money. It's not just opening the door and selling coffee. So I think, as you know, I do some other things as well. So that all makes my day a little crazy. Hence why I just walked in the door with my hand bleeding. And anyway, my day right now is my day today, for example, was I got up at 3 a.m. I went down to my store and did all of our wholesale orders, set up the shop for the barista that was coming, who starts at 6:30. I was able to leave at 7, at which point I came home and picked up my kid, took her to daycare, then went from daycare to my second store, which opens at 8. I got there at 7:55. Kicked the door down, put the drip coffee on as fast as possible, set up, and somebody walked in the door. And then got a phone call from the barista who was supposed to be there saying that the train was shut down and she couldn't get there on time.
True,
and my first thought was, am I going to be late for this podcast interview? And so I told her, okay, jump on a different train and go this different route and then get a taxi and I'll pay for it. And then helped her out a bit and then rushed around, went back to my other store, grabbed 1,000 things I needed to take up to the other store. And on the way, I stopped here to meet you guys. So
much appreciated.
That's my
Thank
day
you.
so far.
Yeah.
I think I made only 2 coffees today. Okay. Being a coffee shop owner with 2 coffee shops, I only actually made 2 coffees today, and they were both for myself at between 3:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m.
Right. Wow.
And for the record, you were right on time for the podcast. So you're doing something.
I was, I think, exactly on time.
Exactly half past.
It was that drip of blood I had to clean off the floor that kind of slowed us down.
That's right. We could set up
It
It made for no negative space. I'm interested, I guess, in your background. What brought you to this place of opening up 2 stores?
It's a long story. I'll make it as short as possible. I grew up in Nova Scotia, and I had this crazy dream of wanting to play music for a living. So I moved to Toronto to try to get into the music scene, and I did that for some time. And eventually, you have to make a decision, I think, whether this is actually going to happen or you're just a dreamer. So I decided that, hey, maybe I'm a little bit good, but this is too much of a dream. It's not real. So I changed courses. And what happens when you're trying to play music for a living is you end up working at restaurants and bars and coffee shops and this sort of stuff, right? So I did that. I went through the whole city doing kind of everything I could in the restaurant business, hospitality business, to getting experience and paying bills. And when I realized that music wasn't going to happen, I had to really decide what I wanted to do. And I always had the idea that opening a coffee shop would be so awesome. Like everyone else in the city seems to have the same idea. So I started looking at it more closely and kind of keep my eye on and researching it for a number of years. But I didn't have any money, so I had to find a way to get some money, and that's a whole other story. But I found a way eventually to get a little bit and did a business plan and just did it. So
good for you. Take the leap of faith at some point. Yeah.
Coming from Australia, there's a very different coffee scene in Australia. It's a longer tradition. I don't know if I don't really know the background of it, whether it's an Italian immigrant thing or if we just made that up to narratize it. But what's the coffee scene like in Toronto from your perspective?
Well, there's basically three categories. There's first wave, which would be the Italians coming here before the 50s, but the first coffee shop, like espresso-based coffee shop that opened, an Italian coffee shop opened at, I believe it was the corner of College and Young in 1954, I think it was called Sidewalk Cafe. Yeah. And I think that was Zuccherini that opened that. Zuccherini was the first guy to import espresso machines. Anyway, that their style of doing things is what we refer to as like first wave, and second wave would be kind of the Starbucks thing that came out of Seattle and spread across North America, and that entails like Second Cup and Timothy's, this style, and then all the little independents that try to copy that style. I won't go into what makes all the waves or styles different, but then we kind of move into third wave, which is what I do and what so many little indies do these days. And I think that influence came from, ultimately, probably from Australia, because I think that influence would have spread to California and then across the States to New York and then to Toronto. So I kind of see it as being maybe like probably 15 years ago that it really started to, the spark turned into a flame, I guess, with the indie third wave scene. And there's been like 50,000 coffee shops that have opened since doing the same kind of thing. It's vibrant. There's a lot of people that do a really good job at it. So there's a million coffee roasters now that, everybody's neighbor is like a pro coffee roaster. So there's a level of saturation, I think, because we have population to a certain extent, but we don't have population density. We're spread out, as opposed to, other major cities in the world that might be much more dense. So I think it makes it tricky in the sense that everyone's kind of going to the same locations, Queen West or Dundas or College.
Which sort of brings, I'm curious about this. My first question is, how do you succeed in a coffee shop? How do you stand out? And just to add some context, I live in the Junction Triangle, just east of the Junction, north of Roncy. And so there's this little pocket of coffee shops. Like, it's flanked by 2 Wallace Espressos. Yeah. There's Hale Coffee, and there's 2 Hale Coffees.
2 Hales now, yeah.
One is Saving Mondays, and then there's Cafe Con Leche in between, in the middle of all of these things. And yet, somehow, they're all succeeding. And I've heard, and on Ossington, it's the same thing. I think there's 3 coffee shops right beside each other.
Ossington.
So,
that's
that's
wild down there.
Would this not be, to me, if there were 5 barbershops beside each other, surely one of them is going to fail at some point. How does each coffee shop seem to succeed and seem to...
Just driving by a place and seeing that, wow, their doors have been open for a long time. But what level of success is what you might want to look at closer. Is it the owner who is there every single day, all day, every day? Maybe he makes enough to live off of cornflakes and beans or something at home. We don't know, right? If you drive by a place that is fully staffed all the time, the owner's never there. It means he's making a profit without having to work the floor all the time. So that's a different level of success than, I won't name any names or whatever, but there's certain places the owner is always there on the floor, behind the machine, working all the time. That's one level of success. Maybe they're just happy with that. And that's awesome, but then there's a different level, like you mentioned, Wallace Espresso. 5 locations now. So obviously, the owner is not behind every espresso machine at all times.
Yeah, right.
And then there's Sam James, where that's another level of success. Whether it's more or less than Wallace, I don't know, but it's maybe perceived as a super level of success in the indie scene.
Can these coffee shops make enough money selling coffee, or does it need to be a larger basket size?
Yeah, you can. The thing is, you need volume. Coffee is an incredible profit margin, but small dollars going in your pocket. Right. So you need volume. You need a lot of volume if you're going to make it just off coffee. And if you have an incredible amount of volume, you can make an incredible amount of money off of coffee. If you don't have that large volume, you need to find things to sell that are less of a profit margin, but more dollars going in your pocket.
Right.
So that's where food comes in, So if you can sell one item that you make $4 off of, it's better, even though it's a lower profit margin, it's better to sell that item than it is to sell one at a higher profit margin that only puts $1.50 in your pocket.
Right.
So this is what I think you need to, everyone probably knows that, but what you got to start playing with, what can you also sell that's going to be a bigger dollar value in your pocket,
So I guess from that perspective, it's fair to say that a coffee shop, it's not a scalable model. It's work in, money out. It's because of the tied to volume. If you want to make more, it's a matter of just getting more out the door. Is there any potential way that you've been able to find efficiencies, I guess, as someone who doesn't work the floor all the time? What are some of the tricks that have been able to, maybe that you could generalize?
To be profitable, you mean?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, one of my big things is, I as you know, I started this sandwich wholesale business. With this breakfast sandwiches we do are became popular kind of right from the get go, and
they're delicious.
And thank you. And it just kind of turned into something. I won't bore you with the details, but it turned into like a lot of stores ordering them from us. So that has helped us in a big way. Helped me in a big way. Without it, it would be a bit of a different story for us. Like, I would make profit from my one coffee shop if we didn't wholesale those to other people. But it's allowed me to expand maybe bigger and faster than I would have been able to. So that's what I've done, and it wasn't necessarily a conscious decision. It just kind of happened because of certain things that were going on. And what else? You really got to be competitive on price. You can't be scared to have your price too high or because some people are some owners are so scared to raise their price a little bit when in reality you actually have to.
Well, I had an interesting conversation with a barista who said, he's like, the most important thing that you can do, or the most important thing not to do, is to not generalize yourself as a coffee shop. You need to be unique, he said.
Yeah.
So even if you're right beside each other, maybe this one is a takeout place and this one's a sit down and write your novel at, and this one is a place to get good food, and this one is this one maybe does like late night shows or something like that.
Yeah, you need to have something proprietary, I think, that sets you apart, whether it is you're the place that has late night shows or you're the place that has like the best breakfast sandwich in the entire world. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I actually, you told a really interesting story to me when I was at your shop the other day about, if you don't mind, I'd love you to just retell it.
Yeah, what was it?
It was the story of delivering these breakfast sandwiches, and the idea that, like, how you need to appear to your fellow coffee aficionados kind of thing. And you were talking about getting the appearances and what they mean.
The new shiny truck.
The new shiny truck. You got it.
I think that's just like, not to appeal to, the specialty coffee guy or something. It's just in general, I think if you're going to be delivering food to places, nobody wants to see you show up in a little dirty piece of junk car, for example. You want to like look like a clean person who is putting that food in a clean vehicle that's delivered to a place that is a clean, respected establishment. So that's all that was. Like, I just I don't want to be driving around this old clunker delivering food. That's no one's gonna really respect that so much. They don't want to see food that they're going to eat in that cafe because I could pull up to the door and deliver it. Right?
Yeah.
So,
but wasn't there like a little bit of a downturn because you were showing up in hipsters buy from hipsters kind of thing? And if you're too commercial,
so I said like I sometimes wonder or feel that maybe your customer doesn't really want to see that you may be doing financially better than them.
Right.
I got this truck and it was nice and it was shiny, but I just leased it and it was cheap and it was like, it was cheap. So it was no big deal. But a couple people made some comments. Oh, wow. And, you look like you're doing really well and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I'm doing well enough that like Toyota would lease me a vehicle. I mean, I didn't go and buy it. Like I didn't have this cash in my pocket. That's why I leased it.
Yeah.
So, and there's certain people that said that I noticed didn't really kind of come around as much and started going to another place. And you got to wonder, is that because they thought, oh my God, that guy makes so much money or something like that. So I could just be paranoid,
Yeah.
Like business owners can be pretty paranoid sometimes. You never know. But I don't think about those things anymore. This was like earlier on when I was really kind of keeping a really close eye on so much, but I don't do that much anymore. I don't, I don't care. I do what I want. And if people like it, they can come,
I want to ask you some stuff about, I guess, a larger issue around baristas specifically. So not to do with the coffee industry per se. Now, I just did a little research before coming, and in Canada, and this is across the country, there's a couple of different numbers, but average estimates for a barista's wage is around $14.60 an hour, $15 an hour, which is a little above minimum wage in every province. Now, there's tipping as well, and I'll ask you about that in a minute. But one thing that said to me is, from Australia, where an average barista will get something like 25 an hour, which is around 22 Canadian, and they're obviously, it's not a perfect comparison, but it almost felt at first sort of take that perhaps baristas weren't valued as much. Now, I don't know whether that's the case. That's just my personal sort of thought. Is there any truth to that?
Well, I think in Australia, you sell like a flat white for like $5.50 or something, right? So here, I sell one for $3.50, and some places sell for cheaper, some places sell for more. But from what I understand, that your prices are way higher, and in Australia, where minimum wage is what, 22 or $20 an hour?
Yeah, it's around that. Yeah,
I think that's all that is that the minimum wage is higher, so the price for goods have to be higher, right? But a barista, they'll typically get $14 an hour plus tips, and it really depends on the coffee shop. If it's a really busy little place, like in one shift, I'm sure to want a barista. Now, this is the thing. If it's a really busy place and there's 3 or 4 or 5 baristas, all these people behind the counter, they're all splitting it up. And I've heard, tales of the owners actually taking tips from places like that too, like just getting in on it somehow. So they got to divvy it up a lot. I've heard like people came to work for me and said, wow, the tip is so great here. And I thought, really? Is that great? And they said, well, yeah, at this place, like, we work with 3 people and I'd leave it like $10 every day. I'd say if they're working on their own at a busy place, maybe $100 a day in tips.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is substantial.
Yeah.
I think it would be fair to say that it can range from $10 a day to probably $120 a day at a really busy place, but not a lot of places are going to be like that.
So it sounds like it's indicative of the hospitality industry sort of writ large, right? It depends.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, like, exactly what someone will make. But one person working at a small shop that is kind of busy throughout the day with lineups at multiple times throughout the day is, if they're working 6 or 8 hours, they're probably going to make like $100, I'd say.
How much should you tip a barista? Percentages or dollars or?
Well, I don't know. I have a strange opinion, I think, about tipping.
I would love to hear it, yeah.
Like, I worked in restaurants for years, and going into it, it was just like, that's what happens. People tip you. And what I see is that, like, it's so expected that just doing the average job, or even less, or even being a jerk and expecting a tip, like, it doesn't really work that way. Like, if you're going to treat me bad, I'm probably not going to tip you.
Right.
Because I didn't like go out to dinner to spend $200 for someone to treat me like I'm not worthy of talking to them or being there. So, but everyone expects it. Everybody expects it. Taxi drivers, everybody wants a tip, right? So that said, you go into a bar, you're going to tip. You have the tip if you want another drink, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
And the bartender might just twist the cap off a bottle and pass it to you, and you're going to give $1 or $2. And some people think that you shouldn't tip at a coffee shop. So if you think about the same person that will go and give someone $2 to unscrew a cap and do nothing, essentially. And then the barista's back there making this beautiful latte art, which took like 6 years to learn how to like steam the milk and do all this. And they're chatting people up, and they're like multitasking like nobody's business, right? And then you hear people say like, I don't tip at coffee shops. Come on, give me a break.
Right.
Right? Like they're doing way more work than that girl behind the bar that twisted the bottle cap off for you, right? So in that regard, they should be getting way more tips than the bartender who just poured a pint of beer.
Right.
You know, and in that regard as well, someone who's making crazy ass cocktails.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you need knowledge for that stuff.
Oh,
you
yeah.
need skill, right?
Yeah.
They should be getting tipped more than the person that poured the pint of beer. So it's really tricky to say what should you tip somebody. But I'll say this. Any barista is expecting to be tipped.
Right.
And if they're that too cool for school type of attitude person that thinks they're too cool to talk to you, don't tip them.
Right.
But if they're friendly and they smile and they say hello to you, they acknowledge you, and they treat you fairly and nicely, then throw them a tip. I mean, they're going to stick around longer at that place, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to help them live because $14 an hour is not...
especially in a city like Toronto.
You can't really live off of it, right? So, but the tips help.
Well, from the perspective of a place where you pay $5.50 a latte, it's worth it. When you have... and I don't mean to, gloat, but when you've got this really established coffee culture that skipped second wave, essentially, which is what happened in Australia, you pay more for coffee, but it's great. Yeah. So essentially, you're supporting a market by doing that. You find a great shop. That's a take.
It is, and what goes around comes around, right? Like the more money your barista has, the more money someone else will have. It all trickles down from the top. The economy. The more money everybody has trickling down, then the better it is for everybody. So that's the way I look at tipping, right? It just you give it to someone, and they're going to come back around somehow. The ripple effect, So it's good for everybody.
What do you think the future of, unless there's anything else you want to, just a nice big open question. What do you reckon the future of Canadian coffee is? Because to revisit that idea of the first, second, third wave, I know in Australia we don't have Starbucks, but we've got like 3 Starbucks stores in Sydney, for example. They all there's a big background story that you can look up if you want to find out. It's a really interesting one where Starbucks didn't succeed in Australia, but we don't have the Starbucks, we don't have the Timmy's, we don't have the second cup pot coffee for $1.50.
Yeah.
And so we've got this really rich, essentially third wave coffee industry. What do you think the future for Canada is, considering that there is the Starbucks, the Timmy's, like that still exists here and is still strong? So what does Canadian coffee look like over 5-10 years?
I think that this third wave scene is eating those guys up. I think that's what's happening. It's been happening since the third wave scene is since Starbucks came to North America and stimulated that kind of second wave, and then that kind of stimulated this third wave. It's like the next wave is kind of eating up the previous wave. So I think this third wave, if you will, is going to continue. You see a lot of Starbucks locations closing down. You see them looking at all these different options to compete with this. If you just look visibly when you drive down the street or walk down the street and you see who's holding what in their hand, I mean, if this were 18 years ago, you would see so many people with Starbucks in their hand. And now, if you look, you're seeing all these
multicolored lids.
From all these different places. So when you add all that up, that is eaten into all those little Starbucks nooks that were, on the corners of downtown Toronto, downtown West, and all this stuff. Yeah. So I think it's going to continue eating up more of those spaces. You see Second Cup closing down, Timothy's closing down. Yeah. You see Tim Hortons. Wow, like that's a rabbit hole to talk about that. But you just see that they're just trying anything they can to keep their dollars up and to keep moving ahead. I mean, they'll never ever disappear, but they've turned into like basically some sort of weird version of McDonald's almost.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah.
Right. It's getting spread thin, I think, with coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to add to their food bucket kind of thing. Yeah.
So as much as it's saturated with third wave, as a whole, it's pretty good for this city and other cities that they're going to have better options all over the place.
Yeah.
the more Starbucks that disappear or that turn into bar, like they're getting liquor licenses in some of these places and stuff. And I think it's just going to continue to grow. There's some places that will succeed and some places that will go to business, but as a whole, the espresso-based beverage consumption is up year over year, always. I think it will continue to be that way.
I usually like to wrap things up with a rapid-fire questions. Justin, what's in your wallet?
I don't have a wallet.
Even better.
I've never owned a wallet.
Never?
Never.
How do you manage?
I carry a gym bag.
And it's just things sitting there?
Well, I guess I have I have a purse.
Okay.
I have
The Merce.
It's actually from Japan. It's
Okay.
it's like it's almost like a big pencil case or
Okay.
something, you know. And but I only recently got that. I carry some sort of bag. I don't have a wallet.
Okay.
Like a traditional type of wallet. I've never had one. Yeah.
I wonder if my next question will also go down in flames. Favorite app on your phone?
I'm the wrong guy to ask that.
I don't have a phone.
No, I have a phone, but like app, I don't know why.
What can I rephrase?
My iMessage app. All I do all day is message with
Well, let me
suppliers and
rephrase.
this
What
and
what
that,
is the most useful non sort of default app that you use?
the most useful.
Or the one that you use the most, the one that isn't message or email.
Well, I have an app that connects to my my payment processors at my stores, so
Okay.
I can check if I'm at one store. I can check up on the sales and the sales items at the other store,
Okay.
and vice versa. So I use that a lot to just see what's happening. But yeah, I guess that's Instagram. I'm sorry,
Instagram. Yeah,
Instagram.
okay.
Sorry, I drew a blank there. I use Instagram every day for my businesses. It's a very good tool for food businesses. Yeah. Sorry, Instagram. I couldn't think for a minute there.
Favorite book that say you've read in the last year, or favorite book that that everyone should read?
Let's not say in the last year, but one of the best books I ever read was Richard Branson's autobiography.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I'm drawing a blank on the name now. Do you remember the
Virgin? I'm drawing the blank.
Anyway,
on the name,
I forget the. But anyway, I mean, it's phenomenal. That guy is he's a genius. And he's a good dude while he's doing it.
Losing my virginity.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yes.
It's such a stupid name.
Yeah.
But that's him. He's trying to be edgy.
Oh yeah,
You know,
always.
He was this
story of the records, the opening with the music and like getting into
Yeah, right. Same background, right?
yeah.
Anyway, he's a genius. So
if you could make one statement to the world, like put a billboard up on the side of the Gardner Expressway and tell everyone to do one thing, what would that be?
can I make a joke?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Have a good rest of your day. So
I need the context.
up at my new store in Weston, which is like this, it's inside Toronto, but it's like this small town, this really peculiar kind of thing. It's like a small town, but in a big city. Everybody seems to say, have a good rest of your day. And it's the first time I've heard it. And I hear it all the time up there. And I keep telling them, you got to paint this thing on the exit. Every exit in this town,
awesome.
Weston.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your day.
So weird, yeah. So
And I love it, but you just got to wonder why didn't I just say, have a good day? It's a lot easier. But it's nice. It's charming.
Favorite food?
The food I have... No, I didn't say cheese.
I was going to say breakfast sandwich.
The food I have the most respect for, I guess, right now is Japanese food.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Where are you in 5 years?
Where am I in 5 years? I think hopefully on a sailboat in the Caribbean. Not... on vacation.
Yeah.
For 3 days.
All of summer, all of winter.
Boat owned by the all-inclusive resort that I could afford for 3 days.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, thank you so much for having a chat to us, Justin. And I think I speak for both me and Tyler when I say have a good rest of your day.
Have a good rest of your day. You
Very
guys
well
too
played.
have a good rest of your day.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hi, my name is Amanda from Project Deathlok, a financial literacy initiative from Ratehub.ca. Here's your financial tip for the week. You need a strategy for your paycheck. It's important that the moment you get paid or when any sum of money lands in your account that you have a plan for how the money's going to be used. If money comes into your account, especially a large sum of money like a paycheck, and you leave it in a lump sum in your checking account, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to mismanage that money and overspend it. Why? Because research shows that when you see a relatively large pool of money in your account, you just feel richer, and that feeling could cause you to overspend. Instead, it's better to have a defined strategy for how to divide your money the moment it comes in. So before you get started on the paycheck strategy, you need to know the following things. The minimum payment on all of your debts, how much you can contribute towards your debt above your minimum payment each payment period, how much your necessities cost you, so that's things like the internet bills, phone bills, rent, mortgage, car payments, etc. And finally, if you're able to, understand how much of your paycheck you can afford to put towards savings. Once your paycheck arrives, you're going to divide it in the following order. So first, you're going to pay your debts. That could mean at least the minimum payment, just to avoid any drop in your credit score, or, and this is definitely the better option when possible, as much as you're comfortable contributing over the minimum. Then you want to put money towards your savings goals. Next, you want to put money into a separate account for your needs budget. Finally, any leftover money you have can go towards your wants. It's better to get the painful stuff out of the way, like paying down debt and contributing towards savings goals to make sure that you don't accidentally overspend and undersave, which is why we put them as the first two things to do with your paycheck. However, if you find yourself financially unstable or unable to pay for necessities, it's perfectly understandable to save or pay your debt down less. Life is unpredictable, and you should focus on doing the best that you can with what you have. So just to recap, you want to create a system that takes the thinking out of it. Your paycheck comes in, first you put money towards your debt, then you put money towards savings, then pay for your necessities, and finally any leftover money goes towards your wants. To learn more, visit Ratehub.ca/decimal.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to Beat Chemist for providing us with our music. Find him on SoundCloud. I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your own day and investing it in yourself to get smarter about money. Head over to Ratehub.ca to learn more about making smarter financial decisions. If you want to thank us, please leave a review on Apple Podcast and follow us on Spotify. Thank you for listening. Let's help Canadians choose better with their finances. This podcast is brought to you by EQ Bank and the EQ Bank Savings Plus account. Want the flexibility of an everyday checking account with a 2.45% interest rate? You got it. You'll also get free Interac e-transfers, free bill payments, no minimum balance, and no monthly fees. For easy banking that earns without any everyday banking fees, switch to EQ Bank today.
And now for the fine print.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views and opinions expressed by Ratehub employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the views of Ratehub Inc. or any of its sponsors or officials. This is for general use. We're not certified or licensed advisors.
Yeah, we just don't want to get sued.